And here we are as your first lesson, Mark. Stuff we talked about left-hand wise, that we're going to be very rhythm right-hand focused this week. That said, you'll always be holding down some chord shape. As far as our left hand goes, we talked about the two thumb positions there are, playing a chord like D, and you have a much wider neck, so, we tend to sling our thumb over the top, which is totally fine. There will be chords where you'll need to be more out in front of the instrument, but for today, just whatever feels intuitive is fine, as long as you don't find yourself muting the string beneath this, then the answer would be shifting more out in front of the instrument like that. It's always our goal to be coming straight in at the strings, rather, when we're not in jeopardy of touching the ones beneath them. We had to cut your fingernails. That was causing this whole, it's flopping down like that thing. Anytime that happens, it pulls the whole situation down. So, any of that, my finger buckled in this direction, we want to correct back to just them coming straight in out of the strings. So, the chord G, this one, I want you to pretend you never have played it before, and then approach it again like this thing where you have to start with this high note and then fret the other two. Rather than going this, then that, you can trick yourself into actually becoming competent at it by doing it the other way. And, multiple attempts, the first few feeling like pulling teeth, and you do that a few times, and then your brain will meet itself in the middle and doing it all at once. So that's just a tip for learning it, where I could say, hey, it also includes this note, but if we think about playing that in a song, we're not going to have time to go this and that. So you can trick yourself by doing it the opposite way. People tend to learn chords like D, like this, then that, when they, and then ultimately you could do this to that. So tricking yourself into being able to play the chords. 2 minutes in, we started talking about rhythm, and so first of all, this is how you had your guitar, which is really natural inclination, because you can see, nor do we want it straight up and down, but I have it straight up and down, maybe 1.5 inches away from my body, and then I'm leaning it back against myself. It'll be just, you kind of can't quite see, and if you want it, where you have to peek over to see what you're doing, and that's what we want to do, rather than subconsciously end up doing that more. Great, so left hand wise, let's kind of take the focus off that. If you want to hold down a chord shape, that's fine, or you could just be hitting open strings. We sling our arm around the side of the guitar. I'm wearing black, so easy to see as it might be, but you and everybody else, this is you. I'm steadying my instrument by doing this, and my arm is in front of it. We want your arm in that position where it can just be this pendulum thing. So right in the crook of your arm there, slung more around the side of the guitar than we'd anticipate, as opposed to this, where it's down, down, down. And when we're strumming, it's arm, but some wrist, just loosey-goosey. And like we talked about, the range of motion that I'm using now is way more along the lines of what you're actually going to be doing when you're playing. Just do it for a second here, which is a very common sticking point for people, because the way that the guitar looks, it really looks like you just, there, but that ends up sounding like versus. So yeah, it's going to be a wider range of motion than you'd anticipated. Before we even try to do rhythms, just stop now and interact with the guitar at all, trying to use that range of motion. Reminder on how we're holding the pick. It's, at right angles with your thumb. Your natural inclination was to have it more like that, and we're like this. Your natural inclination was to hold it more like this, and we're having less of it sticking out. You can find countless Google searches of how I hold my pick and so forth, but I think you'll probably remember from the lesson as long as you do it in the next couple days. Great, so, there you are. So just do anything. Having done anything, we're going to now learn these rhythms that I wrote on this page. I described how to read tablature, which if you want to just look at the E minor and G chords on the second line down, and just remind yourself the sixth string is this is the one closest to the sky, so tablature sort of looks upside down. The numbers say which fret you play on the instrument. So if these were new chords, you could maybe just go, okay, this string I'm doing this string I'm doing that, and I might specify which finger you'd use. But turns out this week we're just sticking with familiar chords and mostly just focusing on chopping wood over here. So great. 5 minutes in, we're start to actually talk about the rhythms that we're playing here. And the first one is just 1, 2, 3, 4, which is going to be all the down strums. And, you know, golf swing, you're going to have a wind up and a strum. A wind up and this is going to have way more momentum, you know, than you're used to. So think of it as a wind up, you know, if you will. And, you know, all this stuff won't feel natural, but we're just going for less unnatural. So there's that rhythm where we're just playing on the downbeat, the 1, 2, 3, 4, and this isn't really even a rhythm necessarily, we're just getting used to strumming. So there's rhythm 1. You could be playing no chord, which would sound worse, or pick either of those, E minor or G, and, you know, just stop, reassess, what did I do wrong, do it again. And like we talked about during the lesson, your process is going to be do it once, pause, reassess, do it once, until that actually becomes somewhat easy, which will be an eternity, it'll be 5 minutes, 10 minutes of just a guy have to learn how to strum. And then you're going to try to do it twice through total, and then loop it after that when you become confident of just going like once. So there, stop, get good at that rhythm. Cool. So then the next rhythm we have, labeled R2, rhythm 2, is the down, up, no 2 downs in a row, no 2 ups in a row, chopping wood, as I say, sometimes. And so ups are always going to feel a little strange, downs will feel more intuitive. Up's really just a converse of your down strum. Neither of them has that much wrist, but it's loose. Yeah, before you try to do 4 of these, just try to go like a couple times, getting a feel for how far you're strumming, and then just try to go just 2 total times. Please stop and do that. Cool. And then the rhythm we're playing is actually 4 of those. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and whatever tempo we like. Maybe a better starting tempo would be like. Either way, the point is you can break rhythm to have adequate space to think about your right hand technique, which is what we're working on here. Cool. So stop, get good at those. And then rhythm 3 is just half rhythm 1, half rhythm 2. It goes down, 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 up, down, up. Now, same process applied. You're going to do it once, you're going to do it twice, you're going to get to where you can loop it. Now you'll actually be doing something that sounds like, you know, like you're actually playing a song. Great, so there we are. And then I'll get really good at those before you move on. The next one, rhythm 4, on the second page I wrote is 1, 2, and 3, 4, and that's going to be down, down, up, down, down, up. So 2 downs in a row with an up, and if you only count if you feel a need to. If you're playing in rhythm and it's all happening, just go dum jiggy, dum jiggy. So there's no extra points for counting, but if you need to, there we're going 1, 2, and 3, 4, and great. And that's definitely like what I'm actually hoping you'll complete for next time. But then I went ahead and at 9 minutes-ish, I wrote this other additional rhythm that, as opposed to the other 2, is 2 measures long. It goes 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1, and 2, 3, 4, and, which is going to be first half, down, 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 X grouping, down, up, down, up. So that so far I went. So that was 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1, and down, 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 down. So just get good up to there, repeat that a couple times. This is where I'm going to draw a little pale line. Great. And if you get good at that, the rest is just down, 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 like in our rhythm 2. So the whole thing goes down, 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 up, down, up, down, 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 up, which it seemed like that's more than I can memorize at once. That's why we're going to break it into little sections. That'll sound like. Down, or if I'm playing like Hey Joe going, that's our rhythm 4, where we're going 1, 2, 3, and 4. Either way, all the same stuff, and that's pretty much what I want you to do this week, but also work on getting between 2 chords. You pick them. It can be D and G, it can be E minor and G. And your process is going to be fret this chord, switch, trying to get to where, so just stop and spend a mind-numbing 10 minutes working on switching between these chords, any of them, whichever seem most intuitive. Hint would be that if you're going from E minor to G, you might want to slide your index finger forward a little bit towards this side of the fret when you switch to G. And just like deductive reasoning, stuff like that will work across the board. The concept of being on this side of the fret is overemphasized. Being anywhere in there is going to get to the same sound as long as you don't get all the way to there. Anyway, there we go. So just going between 2 chord shapes, don't worry about what you're doing. You could not even strum theoretically.
Okay.
Now, if you want to go above the rim for this lesson, start going rhythm whatever.
I'm just going to get to here.
Cool, great.
I'm just going to do the
Gotcha.
I probably won't get.
Awesome.
I think.
So, but either way,
I want to build up the.
The next step would be actually including a chord change in it.
Okay.
Going like. And after having a mind numbing until you feel like your brain can comply with doing it as quickly as we'll need to.
Yeah.
So I do want you to work on 1 total chord change. And it doesn't need to be playing the rhythms. So let's say you're going to go, I'm learning chords, rhythms 1 through 4, trying to apply chord changes, and then if you get to rhythm 5, fine.
Okay.
But any order, you'll figure out how to do this. Anyway, you've been guitar lessoned, the capos, the clip-on, and you want to change your strings, and you want to get a steel-stringed guitar. You're used to the bigger fretboard, and it feels easier now, but trust me, this is fun. There it is.